Hey YouTube, it's Hackmaster, and today I'm going to be bringing you a deck profile from Kaijudo. And one quick note before this, I know I've been saying this a lot, but for Yu-Gi-Oh players, I will have a few things coming out, actually probably a lot of things coming out for Yu-Gi-Oh as well, but I am waiting until the September 1st ban list and all of that stuff. So I will get on that when I can in, a week? Less than a week. So, sorry for that. And for the Kaijudo people, I will continue to put up plenty of Kaijudo content, especially September 7th. And probably not exactly that day, but as soon as possible, I will be doing that with all of the base set stuff, and I should have most of it pretty quickly. So, we're going to get right into this. This is a light darkness water control build. So I'm going to jump right into it. Switch camera mode here. First off, I have two Alcadius. I'll get some things explained at the end. 3 Grand Gur, 2 Keeper of Dawn, 2 Keeper of Twilight, 2 Shakana, 2 Star Lantern, and 3 Sunstock Seed. And just 1 random Sunshock. Kinda not too random because I have the 2 Keeper of Dawn in case I need it later on. So, next up, I've got the Darkness cards. So we've got 2 Razorkinder, 2 Zagon that are interchangeable with Trox, I guess. I just prefer running Zagon. There are reasons that I put Zagon in over that. I'll talk about that later. 3 Bat Breath Scaredorable. Figured it was time he made an entrance into one of my decks, and he's really good in this one. I've tried him in a lot of other decks that use Darkness, and he just hasn't worked out as well as he did in this, for reasons I can't explain. But he always just gets killed out of there too fast, and in this one it seems like I have enough other targets that they have to make too many choices that they don't want to have to make, and Bat Breath seems to survive. Plus I get the water control power of the hand and drawing a lot, so he survives. I've got 2 Skull Cutters, and 3 Terror Pits, and 3 Bone Blades. Next up is the water. For water, I have 2 Reef Prince, 3 Hydro Spy, 2 Seneschal, 1 Refi, 1 Spy Mission, 3 Logos Scan, and 1 Ice Blade. So, I'm going to explain a few things, and then that'll be the end of the video. So, 3 Alcadius would have been nice, but 2 is plenty, and this deck is already 45 cards, so 3 would have been a little bit pushing it, especially because I don't have a nature engine, which is kind of out of my, my typical deck building set. Usually I'm either running a really low-leveled or whatever you want to call it, control build that can just operate off of 4 to 5 mana for the most part. Maybe 6 is the most it will really need, and it can wait a while before it goes above 5, 6, and it can just wait on having 7. So that's typically one, or the other way I run it is with nature. So that's why I'll either have a couple big guys or a lot of big guys. I never really go in between. This deck kind of had to do that. So I looked at the fact that I had a lot of stuff that costs a lot already, and I had to think, I don't really need that 3rd Alcadius in here. So that's why he's there at the number he's at. But he does work in good combination with the 2 Shakana, which is why they're in there. Basically the only reason they're in there is because of that. They're a good card on their own, but that's really the only reason I put them in there. It has great synergy with the 2 Aqua Seneschal, and not to mention the whole reason that I wanted these cards, the Bat Breaths. Because Bat Breath is blockable by 2 blockers in the game, Grandeur and, I'm drawing a blank, the King Tsunami. And that makes him pretty good, especially when you can keep him from being attacked by your opponent's finishers with things like Grandeur. So, he stays out pretty well in this deck. And the last card that it works really well with are these, mostly because the opponent doesn't want to have to block those for the most part, especially when they're facing down one of these guys already. So they basically have to block it, or else they're just going to have to face it again, and they get forced into losing a creature, which really helps. But the effects that actually really work well with it are these guys, for the most part. Really anything attacking twice is a plus, and almost every creature in this deck can attack twice with it, the exceptions being Razorkinder, Zagon, Grandeur, and I think that's about it other than the other Alcadius himself. So really good. This Bat Breath Alcadius combination is like the entire reason I wanted to play Light Dark back before Dojo Edition even came out. I was really looking forward to that combination, and the first couple times actually that I tried it, it never worked for me. So I just stopped running Bat Breath in my decks, and finally found a way to work it out. So, really good combination here. Even just having one of these early game just shuts the opponent down so much, because they don't typically get around it too easily, especially where you have the light creatures protecting them. By the time they get out their big finisher, you've got out your big blocker that stops their big finisher, or you can just use a spell on them and get them out of there. So I am going to now head into a few other small things about the deck, and I think that'll be good. So the next thing I wanted to cover about some of my decisions were 2 Keeper of Dawn. It would have been awesome to use 3, but the deck doesn't have quite enough targets. It has some good ones, the 1 Sunshock being thrown in there just for that reason, just to have a random shield trigger that could work. The 1 Ice Blade, yet another reason, just 1 random shield trigger that works with it. And it really works well in combination with Logo Scan, though, because Logo Scan and Keeper of Dawn, you just need 8. You can play him, get a creature out with 4,000 power, that's not too bad, and you're drawing 2 cards, too. So basically, you get to play him and choose anything, but it can also get back Terror Pits and other such cards. So that's really good, but it doesn't have too many good targets, which is why there's only 2 and not 3. So finally, I guess the 1 random spy mission is just for another random shield trigger and more draw power. So I excluded a few cards from this deck that I would have liked to have run, such as Trox. He works really well with things that tap, such as Light. Me having those 2 Shock and Aws and that 1 Sunshock, and other things like that work really well in combination that I just couldn't use, such as the entire Darkness discard engine. I didn't have room for that, and this deck does sometimes struggle finishing people off, but you can get so much field advantage and hand advantage in this deck. It's only a matter of time. You just have to be careful to make sure that you give yourself enough time to win before you deck yourself out. That's the only problem you will run into using this deck for the most part. Such as other light decks might try to get you. Discarding isn't too much of an issue, seeing as I've had 8 to 10 card hands late game. Early game, you've got the cheap draw power cards, so it's not too bad. Only thing that really catches you off guard is a Spectre Claw, and even then that's not too bad. So tell me what you think of the deck, if there's anything you would have liked to have seen in it, how you think I did making it. I just used it at my local tournament today. There were only 2 other people there. It was kind of not much of a tournament, but it won. The 2 players there are pretty good. They just don't quite have all the cards they need, so it made it a little easier on me. And one of them decided not to run Root Trap or Return to the Soil. So they had basically no removal because they were playing Nature Light. So this deck kind of ran right over them, but they still put up a good fight because they had a lot of creatures they could use on me. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Other than the fact that I didn't put in Death Smoke, and I had my reasons, but that's about it. So thanks for watching, guys. I'd love to hear what you think of it, and have a nice day.